The sky over King's Landing was calm, touched by golden sunlight, but every heart inside the city beat with fear. Word had spread like wildfire. Daenerys Stormburn, the mother of dragons, was coming. But this time, there was no fire raining from the sky, no screams echoing in the streets. She wasn't coming with vengeance. She was coming with peace. Jon Snow rode beside her, his face quiet, his eyes filled with doubt. He had seen what power could do to people. He had seen the madness in rulers before, but Daenerys had changed. The bells had not rung yet, but she wasn't waiting for surrender through fear. She wanted it through reason. Drogon flew above them, his wings slicing the wind. But he didn't roar. He didn't burn. He simply flew, a shadow of strength, not destruction. The people watched, trembling, expecting the worst. But nothing happened. The unsullied and Dothraki marched with discipline, not rage. Inside the Red Keep, Queen Cersei stood at the balcony, wine in hand, face pale. She didn't understand. She had prepared for blood. Wildfire had been hidden beneath the city. Soldiers were ready at the walls, but no attack came. Just silence, followed by the steady rhythm of thousands of feet outside her gates. Daenerys stopped at the gates of King's Landing and waited. No commands were shouted. No torches were thrown. She simply asked to speak. Her voice, clear and commanding, echoed across the walls. "I am not here to burn. I am here to rebuild. Let the people decide their fate. Not fear, not pride, not blood." The small folk didn't know how to react. Was this mercy real? Or was it a trick? But then something strange happened. Jon Snow dismounted his horse, walked alone toward the gates, and laid down Longclaw in front of the guards. "No king, no queen, just peace," he said. It broke something in the soldiers watching. One of them, a young man not older than 20, opened the gate. Just a crack, enough to let Jon in. Inside, the atmosphere was thick. Tension clung to every corner of the capital. Cersei watched, heart racing. She still had the mountain. She still had Qyburn. But her people, they were looking at her differently now. She had ruled with fear. Daenerys stood outside, offering another way. Tyrion, meanwhile, walked through the back alleys of the city. He had returned, against all sense, to talk to his sister once more. "You will lose, Cersei," he said as he entered her chamber uninvited. "Not by fire, not by dragon, but by hope. And you don't know how to fight hope." Cersei slapped him. "You think she can win by kindness? She'll burn like all the rest once she sits on that throne." "No," Tyrion replied. "She has Jon. He grounds her. And the people, they will choose her if you give them the chance. Or you can die in that chair while it burns around you." The mountain shifted behind her. But Cersei didn't give the order. She was staring out now, seeing people gather near the gates, seeing Daerys, just waiting. No army storming her home, no blood spilled yet. And that terrified her more than fire. Daenerys sat on a white horse now, still silent. Drogon had landed far behind, watching from the hills. The people slowly walked out. Women with children, old men, bakers, smiths, whores. They gathered, they stared, and one by one they dropped to their knees. Jon stood beside them. "This is not surrender," he said. "This is choice." By sunset, the gates were fully open. Daenerys entered the city, not as a conqueror, but as a queen without a crown. Yet in the eyes of the people, she already wore one. Her dragon never left the sky, but it never opened its mouth. Not once the streets of King's Landing had never felt like this before, not even during Robert's rebellion or when Stannis attacked. This was something different. The silence wasn't from fear. It was from confusion, curiosity, and something people hadn't felt in a long time, hope. As Daenerys moved through the city, people lined the roads, whispering, bowing, watching her every move. She wasn't riding high like a tyrant. She didn't wear a golden crown or shout commands. She looked like someone who had already seen too much war and wanted no more of it. Jon Snow rode beside her, eyes scanning the people, his face calm but distant, as if he wasn't sure whether peace could last in a place soaked in blood. Tyrion joined them near the Sept of Balor's ruins, his expression filled with quiet tension. "The people love her already," he muttered to Jon. "They were starving for something different." And she walked in like a promise. "But Cersei hasn't stepped down," Jon replied. "She won't until she's forced. That's what worries me," Tyrion said. "Peace is the hardest path to defend." Back in the Red Keep, Cersei Lannister stood behind the great windows, hands gripping the arms of her throne. Qyburn waited beside her, pale and nervous. "Your Grace," he whispered, "they're not burning the city. They're being welcomed." Cersei didn't respond. Her eyes followed Daenerys from the window, watching how people threw flowers on the road, how the dragon kept its distance. She hated it. She hated how this woman was stealing her city without a single sword swing. Then, unexpectedly, a knock echoed through the throne room. The doors opened, and to everyone's shock, Sansa Stark entered. Cersei narrowed her eyes. "You have some nerve." Sansa stepped forward confidently, her voice cold but steady. "I came to give you a choice." Cersei laughed bitterly. "Everyone's offering choices today. What's yours? Die quietly or loudly?" Sansa didn't flinch. "Step down, Cersei. You've ruled through fear long enough. Daenerys doesn't want your head. She wants a future. One where children don't have to fear the sound of wings in the sky." "You really think she'd keep that promise?" Cersei asked, voice low. "I believe she might," Sansa replied. "But only if you stop pushing her toward fire." Cersei stood, slowly walking down the steps. "And if I refuse?" "Then the people will remove you," Sansa said, meeting her eyes. "Not dragons, not swords. The very people you've crushed will rise against you. And this time, no wildfire will save you." Cersei stared at her, and for the first time in years, something cracked in her eyes. She wasn't afraid of fire, but she was terrified of being forgotten, of becoming the villain in children's bedtime stories, of her power fading without a roar. That night, Daenerys stood in the city square. Torches lit the area as thousands of people watched her. She spoke with strength, but no arrogance. "This city has seen too much blood. I do not want to rule by fear. I want to rule by choice. You have seen my dragon, but now I ask you to see my heart." Her voice rang across the plaza. "I am not here to burn. I am here to build." Then the unthinkable happened. The Red Keep's gates opened, and out walked Cersei Lannister, alone, wearing black, her crown in hand. She stepped in front of Daenerys, silence drowning the city. Her eyes didn't show defeat, but they didn't burn with pride either. She kneeled. "I will not give you my throne," she said loud enough for all to hear, "but I will give you this city." And she placed the crown on the ground. Gasps echoed across the crowd. Jon looked stunned. Tyrion's mouth opened slightly. Even Daenerys looked frozen for a second. Cersei stood, face pale. "Rule it better than I did, if you can." Then she turned and walked away, vanishing into the crowd like a ghost. The city exploded in cheers. But in Daenerys' heart, the moment weighed heavy. Victory without fire, but not without scars. By morning, the city had changed. Where ashes once covered rooftops and blood ran in the alleys, now there were banners of silver and red. Not banners of conquest, but of rebirth. Daenerys didn't take the Iron Throne that day. She didn't even sit on it. Instead, she stood before it, staring, as if wondering whether claiming it would turn her into everything she'd fought against. Jon watched her from a distance. He knew what power could do to a person. He had seen it twist even the kindest hearts. But Daenerys, ... she had surprised him. The fire in her didn't explode. It waited, controlled. She hadn't burned the city. She had earned it. But not everyone celebrated. In the shadows of King's Landing, Varys' old network of spies and whispers was waking up again. Some nobles, loyal to the old regime, were meeting in quiet cellars, sharing sour wine and planning the unthinkable. They didn't want a foreign queen, dragon or not. To them, Daenerys was still a threat to their order. And Jon Snow, the bastard with a better claim, was a puzzle they didn't like. "She's soft now," one of them whispered. "But the Mad King's blood runs in her. Sooner or later, the fire comes. She has the North's loyalty," said another. "If Jon marries her, we're all finished. The Starks will own everything. So we stop it," the first one said. "Before it begins." Elsewhere, inside the Red Keep's tower, Daenerys met with Sansa, Tyrion, and Jon. The throne room felt colder now, more quiet without Cersei's cruel presence. But the air was still heavy with questions. "I don't want the Iron Throne," Daenerys said softly, surprising even herself. "Not like this." "Not yet." Tyrion raised an eyebrow. "The people already see you as queen. Then let them decide it officially," she replied. "Let there be a council. Let the lords and ladies speak. If they want me, I'll serve. If not, I'll go." Jon looked at her, eyes narrowing. "And what if they want me instead?" She turned toward him. "Then I'll still serve. With you, or not at all." Sansa didn't trust that. "Not yet." "You mean it?" she asked. "No fire? No dragon screams in the sky if they say no?" Daenerys nodded. "I came here to break the wheel, not spin it in my favor." Tyrion smiled. "Then we do something Westeros has never truly done. We try democracy, but not everyone would wait for a peaceful vote." That night, someone slipped into the stables and poisoned the feed meant for Drogon. The great beast didn't roar. He simply stumbled, wings twitching, heat rising from his belly. The stable hands panicked, and by the time Missandei and Grey Worm arrived, the dragon was collapsed, still breathing, but weaker than before. Daenerys was by his side in minutes, heart hammering in her chest. She placed her hand on Drogon's head, whispering in high Valyrian, tears slipping down her cheeks. Jon stood behind her, sword half drawn. "This wasn't an accident." "No," she whispered. "Someone wants war again." Drogon's eyes opened slightly, glowing with fire, but no strength came with it. He was alive, but barely, vulnerable. And now, so was she. In the shadows, the poisoner fled through the sewers. A nobleman's servant, carrying a golden coin stamped with a lion. The Lannisters weren't finished. They were just quieter now, plotting, waiting, preparing for peace to fail. But Daenerys was done waiting. "I gave them peace," she whispered to Jon. "Now I will show them what it costs to break it." The morning after the poisoning, King's Landing awoke to a different kind of fear, the kind that walks softly and wears no crown. Soldiers doubled their patrols. The gates were sealed tighter. Whispers passed through the streets like smoke. Someone had tried to kill the dragon, and they had nearly succeeded. Drogon lay hidden in the hills beyond the city walls, guarded day and night by Unsullied. His breathing was shallow. He no longer soared. He no longer watched the skies. And for Daenerys, it felt like her heart had been ripped from her chest and buried alive. In the council chamber, the moon was dark. Grey Worm stood silently near the door, rage carved into his face. Tyrion paced back and forth, eyes darting, his wine untouched. Sansa sat with her arms crossed, watching everything like a wolf waiting for a weakness. Only Jon looked calm, but the kind of calm that came before a storm. "We let them live," Grey Worm finally said. "We opened the gates. We showed them mercy. And they answer with poison. We don't know who did it yet," Tyrion said. "But we will." "Oh, we know," Sansa replied. The lions may have laid down, but they still have teeth. Daenerys hadn't spoken yet. She sat at the head of the table, silent, staring at a map of Westeros. When she finally did speak, her voice was low, steady, dangerous. "Find them." Tyrion looked up. "And then?" "I want them alive," she said. "Let the people see what happens to peacebreakers." "And if it was one of the noble houses?" Sansa asked. "Will you burn another city?" Daenerys raised her eyes slowly. "No. I'll burn a name." Outside, the streets buzzed with rumors. Some said it was the Lannisters. Others blamed the Reach. A few even whispered that the North never truly supported her, and that this was Sansa's doing. The city, once filled with hope just days ago, was cracking. Peace had entered softly, but it was leaving loud. Jon visited Drogon again that night. He stood by the beast's head, brushing his scales with a wet cloth. The dragon blinked slowly, as if recognizing him. "He saved us all," Jon whispered. "And they repaid him with poison." Missandei stood behind him. "You see why she can't trust them now?" Jon sighed. "I see why she must not become them." The next day, a man was caught. He was dragged into the square, bloodied and bruised, screaming about gold and orders and Lannister honor. The people gathered fast. They always did when pain was promised. Daenerys stood on the steps, calm as winter, staring down at the man who had tried to kill her dragon. "Who gave the order?" she asked. "I serve the lion," he spat. "The true queen will return." "Cersei is gone," she said. "She's more queen than you'll ever be." Daenerys didn't flinch. She turned to the crowd. "This is what peace brings if we do not protect it. This is what crawls out from shadows when we let the past linger," she signaled. Grey Worm stepped forward. The man's throat was cut in front of thousands. No fire, no dragons, just a cold lesson. Tyrion looked away. Sansa didn't. Jon watched everything with tight fists. Later that night, Jon finally went to Daenerys. She was in her chamber, staring out over the city. "You made a statement," he said. So did he. Jon didn't argue. "You're becoming what they feared, Dany. I gave them peace," she said softly. "And they tried to kill my child." Jon stepped closer. "Then don't give them a reason to try again." She turned. "You think I'm wrong?" "I think you're hurt and angry. And they know that." Silence stretched between them. Then she whispered, "I wanted to believe it could be different, that they would love me for my mercy." Jon nodded. "Some do, but love isn't how you win Westeros. Trust is. And what if I can't trust anyone?" "You trust me." She looked at him for a long time. "Then stand by me when the rest try to pull us apart." Jon didn't speak. He just held her hand. Outside, Drogon groaned weakly in the dark. And far away at a secret hall beneath the city, a Lannister banner was raised again, by a woman wearing gold and a cold, cruel smile. The lion was still roaring. It had just learned to whisper. The whispering lion had found new ears. Deep beneath the city, in the crypts forgotten by time, Myrcella Lannister, thought long dead, stood before a table lit with candlelight, surrounded by old bannermen loyal not to peace, but to legacy. Her hair was shorter now, her voice sharper, her eyes carrying a lifetime of betrayal. She had survived, hidden by loyalists after her supposed poisoning in Dorne. And now, with Cersei gone and Daenerys ruling through mercy laced with fear, Myrcella was ready to claim what she believed was hers. "She's weak," she said, voice cold. She hesitated. She begged for their approval. A dragon that begs is no dragon at all. One of the men leaned forward. "But she has Jon Snow." "We'll break him too," Myrcella said. "He's torn between blood and fire. We just have to push him." Above ground, Daenerys summoned a council. Lords from the Reach, the Riverlands, the Vale, even Dorne. She wanted to create something new, a council of houses, a form of governance not ruled by blood alone. It was the dream she spoke of since crossing the narrow sea. And yet, in every noble's eyes, she could still see doubt, and fear. Sansa watched the nobles carefully. They'll smile to your face and stab you when your back turns. I know, Daenerys replied. But if I don't give them a voice, I become everything they feared. Tyrion stood beside her. Then be wise, but not naive. A dragon must remember it has teeth, even if it doesn't use them. Jon stayed silent in these meetings. He didn't belong in rooms filled with strategy and titles. He belonged in the truth, and the truth was, the people were uneasy. Some loved Daenerys for not burning the city. Others whispered she was waiting for the perfect time to strike. Trust was like glass now. Once cracked, it would never be whole again. Meanwhile, the search for more traitors uncovered troubling signs. One of the captured poisoners revealed a name, Sir Baron Lork, an old knight who had once served Tywin Lannister. A man had vanished years ago. Now he had returned, and he was rallying houses in the shadows, waiting for the right spark to ignite rebellion. But Myrcella had a different weapon in mind, Jon Snow. She sent a message, secret, coded, smuggled through a baker's cart, and it landed in Jon's hands by morning. He read it alone, behind thick stone walls. The words chilled him. You are the rightful heir. They fear you more than her. Come see the truth for yourself. There was no name. Just a seal, the Lannister lion. Jon didn't tell Daenerys. Not that day. Instead, he left the castle before sunrise, claiming he needed to speak to the Night's Watch about unrest in the north. In truth, he followed the directions on the message, his sword strapped to his back, Ghost padding beside him in the dark. What he found was not an ambush, but a whisper, a woman who looked like Cersei, but younger, colder, and alive. Myrcella, he breathed, stunned. She stepped forward, no fear in her bones. You're the key to ending all of this. Jon gripped his sword. You're supposed to be dead. Everyone who's truly dangerous is, she smiled. Until they decide not to be. She offered him a proposition. Not a threat. Not yet. You take the throne with your name. Let her rule beside you if you must. But the kingdom needs a king, not a foreign queen, who trusts no one, burns quietly, and thinks peace can last without blood. I don't want the throne, Jon said. That's why they'll follow you, Myrcella replied. And why should never let you live. Jon's eyes narrowed. You want to use me. I want to survive, she replied. And I want Westeros to survive too. Back in the Red Keep, Daenerys stood in the tower alone. She had watched Jon ride out before dawn. No warning, no word. She turned to Missandei. He's hiding something. Missandei looked concerned. Do you think he doubts you? Daenerys didn't answer right away. But her silence said everything. Peace was beginning to splinter, not with swords, but with secrets. And secrets in Westeros were deadlier than dragons. Jon returned to the Red Keep before nightfall, his face shadowed by guilt. The meeting with Myrcella clung to him like cold sweat. She had offered no armies, made no threats, but the poison in her words had worked. They echoed in his mind over and over. She'll never let you live. He told no one where he had gone. Daenerys met him in the throne room. She stood before the Iron Throne, not on it, staring at the twisted swords, the symbol that had driven so many mad. When Jon entered, she didn't smile. You disappeared, she said softly, eyes still fixed on the throne. I needed to think, Jon replied, trying to sound steady. About what? She asked, finally turning to him. Jon hesitated. About whether peace can survive here. She stepped closer. You think I've failed already. I think Westeros isn't ready for peace. They're waiting for fire. Some want it. Daenerys studied him. And what do you want, Jon? He looked her in the eye. I want you to stop being alone. The room fell silent. Then, quietly, she said, Then don't leave me in the dark again. But it was already too late. The dark had crept in. That night, word reached the castle. 3 noble houses, House Merryweather, House Redwine, and a splinter of House Hightower, had secretly gathered ships off the southern coast. They weren't attacking yet, but they were preparing. And worse, they weren't flying Daenerys' colors. They're aligning with someone, Grey Worm growled. This is rebellion. We crush them now. Tyrion frowned, lips tight. If we strike without proof, we prove their fears right. That Daenerys is still the dragon they dread. Sansa, arms folded, leaned forward. Then let the proof come to us, but be ready. If these houses rise, more will follow. Daenerys didn't speak for a long moment. Then she turned to Jon. Would you stand beside me if war comes again? Jon answered too quickly. Always. But she caught it, the hesitation behind his eyes, the weight of something unsaid. That night, Daenerys stood alone with Drogon in the hills. The dragon had grown stronger, but still limped, still groaned in pain. She pressed her forehead to his snout, whispering in high Valyrian, not of war, but of loss. Missandei approached, cautious. He's healing. Not fast enough, Dany murmured. Neither of us are. You still have Jon, Missandei said. A pause. Then Daenerys replied, For how long? Meanwhile, in the crypt beneath the old sept, Myrcella held court with her allies. Silent, dangerous men with rings on every finger and daggers under their cloaks. She had gathered more than anyone suspected. Former bannermen, sellswords, Iron Bank agents, even a few northern lords who hated the idea of a Targaryen queen. And she had a new plan. We don't kill her, she said. We kill her faith. They would plant letters, fake orders, intercepted ravens, all forged to make it look like Daenerys had never intended peace, that she planned to burn Oldtown next, that she wanted Jon out of the way, that she poisoned Cersei's child. Westeros wouldn't need proof. It only needed doubt. By the time the council met again in the Red Keep, whispers had already spread. Lords who once pledged loyalty now looked at Daenerys like a stranger. Tyrion noticed it first. Something's changed, he muttered. They fear her again. Daenerys felt it too. Every word she spoke was met with silence. Every suggestion was met with cold nods. Jon stood by her side, but he could feel the shift in the room. Then a raven arrived. A sealed message. No name. It was delivered to Jon. He opened it slowly. Inside, just one sentence. She knows about Myrcella. You should have told her. His face went pale. Daenerys saw it. You've kept something from me, she said aloud. All eyes turned to Jon. He swallowed. There's someone claiming to be Myrcella Lannister. The silence cracked like glass. Daenerys stepped down from her seat. Her voice didn't rise. It dropped, calm, cold, deadly. And you met her? Jon didn't answer. He didn't have to. Tyrion stood slowly, expression frozen. Gods help us. Sansa's voice cut the room. If the line isn't dead, then this peace was always a lie. Daenerys stared at Jon, not with hate, not yet, but with heartbreak. You said you wouldn't leave me in the dark, she whispered. I was trying to protect you, Jon replied. From the truth? She asked. Or from yourself? In that moment, something inside Daenerys shifted. Not rage, not madness. Resolve, the kind that burns cities. The peace had cracked. Now the fire waited. King's Landing had changed again. The streets weren't singing anymore. The people watched with cautious eyes. Windows shut faster. Voices dropped to whispers. The same queen they had welcomed as a savior now walked through the capital with silence following her like a shadow. Daenerys Targaryen wasn't feared because she had burned anything. She was feared because she hadn't yet. She stood in the council chamber, looking over a table covered with forged letters, broken seals, and shifting alliances. Every noble seemed to be waiting to see if she would snap, if fire would finally reign again. Tyrion leaned in. These letters are lies. Someone's orchestrating it, pushing the realm back into fear. We all know who, Grey Worm growled. Myrcella lives. She's poisoning the realm with ink, not fire. And I let her, Jon said, shame in every word. Daenerys didn't look at him. She hadn't spoken to him since the council discovered his secret visit. Trust was broken, not loudly, not with betrayal, but with silence, with withheld truth. The kind of betrayal that doesn't scream. It rots. We still have power, Missandei said. We still have the people. No, Daenerys finally spoke. We had them. Now we must remind them why they trusted us to begin with. Not by fear, not by fire, but by truth. But the truth in Westeros never traveled faster than lies. That night, 3 northern ships were burned off the coast. No survivors. Word spread instantly. Daenerys had ordered it. The forgeries said it all. She was cleansing those who opposed her. It wasn't true, but truth didn't matter. Sansa stormed into Daenerys' chamber, angry and bitter. You should have let the North stay out of this. You're here, Daenerys replied calmly. That means you knew we were all in it together, whether we wanted to be or not. Sansa didn't back down. Your peace is falling apart, and Jon is breaking under the weight of choosing between you and the realm. That word again, choosing. That night, Jon stood at the battlements, staring at the moon, Ghost lying quietly by his side. His soul was torn. Myrcella had promised war if he stayed loyal. Dany had promised silence if he stayed quiet. And the realm had promised nothing but blood, no matter what he chose. Tyrion found him there. You know, if I were you, Tyrion muttered, sipping wine, I'd run, far north. Take the direwolf. Disappear. Jon sighed. I can't run from this. No, Tyrion agreed. But the thing is, you also can't fix it. The next morning, the Red Keep shook. Explosions thundered in the east wing. Wildfire, old and forgotten, set off beneath the walls. Dozens were killed. Myrcella's message was loud. The lion has roared. Then came the ravens. 24 noble houses had pledged fealty, not to Daenerys, but to Queen Myrcella Lannister, first of her name, heir of the Golden Lion, claiming to bring true order back to Westeros. It was war, but Daenerys didn't fly. She didn't burn. She gathered her people, stood atop the Red Keep, and she gave them something they hadn't expected. A choice. I won't rule over ash and bone, she called out over the crowd. If Westeros wants fear, they can follow the girl who fakes letters and kills innocents in the shadows. But if you still believe in peace, in choice, in justice, then stand with me now. I will not burn the city to make it love me. And slowly, people came forward. Not nobles, not lords, the people. Bakers, smiths, old soldiers, whores, orphans. They stood below the keep, raising empty hands, not weapons. A message in itself. You don't need to rule by fire. We choose you without it. But it wasn't over yet. As Drogon lifted his wings again for the first time in weeks, healed but scarred, a message arrived from Myrcella herself. Not a raven, but a hostage. She had captured Samwell Tarly. If the Dragon Queen wants peace, the messenger said, she'll come unarmed to the old Sept ruins, alone, or Samwell dies. And so does her dream of mercy. Daenerys turned to Jon. You don't have to go, he said. I do, she replied. This is what they're testing, not my power, but my belief that peace is worth bleeding for. Jon tried to stop her. She's baiting you. I know, she said, but peace has a price, and someone has to pay it first. As she mounted Drogon one last time, her eyes found Jon's. If I don't come back, rule better than me. And then she flew, not to burn, but to prove. At the ruins of the Sept, Myrcella stood in golden armor, smiling. Daenerys landed calmly, and as they stared at each other, Fire and gold, mercy and blood, Westeros held its breath. The final choice wasn't about who sat the throne. It was about whether peace could survive a world that only understood power.